MATIC is out here in the markets all over the place. There's no telling if it's going up or down, but we're going to try to make some sense of the most recent movements right now. We're looking at the daily chart for MATIC. It has been an interesting ride over the past couple of days. I made a video about, well, I've been making videos fairly recently on, or fairly consistently on MATIC about once a day. And on one of those videos, I did mention that we needed to get through this level of 0.93. It's a rather large level to 1. And the reason it's a rather, not a huge level, but a rather large level is because several times you can see back over the last few months, whenever the market got into this level, denoted here by the gray rectangle, the market reacted. Here, in December, it broke through, came back down and reacted again, went back up, fell back through, went back up, tested again, and so forth and so on. So it is definitely a level of reaction, a support and resistance level, level of liquidity, however you want to talk about it. It's where people and algorithms watch when the price gets to that level, even going back in January 23, March 2023, etc. You get the point by looking at the graph. So it makes perfect sense that that was a very important level for us to break through. And I was hoping, and we did actually, for a close above 1, which is a big psychological barrier, big psychological number rather, on MATIC, nice round number. So I was hoping for a close above that so that we could continue to higher highs. I did get that close back here on Tuesday, 20th of February. And right when we got that close, immediately we were pushed back down at one point, even through the bottom of that level, that support level again the next day. So there was no doubt it was quite disappointing, as I was hoping we were setting up for a higher run. But the problem we have, and we'll talk more about this in just a moment, the problem we have right now is that Bitcoin is flat and has been for the past week. And so altcoins, some of them are popping off. But those are usually the newer coins, the ones that are building their projects and new news comes out and so they pop. But Bitcoin is really over the past week has not been pulling the more mature coins up like MATIC. It has not fueled the fire to make those go up. So we've seen a little drift in the altcoins down. However, MATIC has actually been over net positive over the past week, which is good. You know, if your coin is going up when others are flat or going down, hey, that's a beautiful sign, and MATIC has been doing that. It did yesterday at some point get above this critical level of 1 and reach a good high of about 1.06. Not quite as high as basically 1.1 that it reached back in on the 27th of December, but it was a good move and was relatively immediately pushed back down. And this is a very interesting daily candle we have here. It's a good looking candle, really, especially if there's any way, and we still have about 5 hours left in this daily candle as I'm making this video. If we could close above this 1 level again today, that would be a good sign, as it showed that we were pushed down by sellers, but there were plenty of buyers down here at the bottom of this gray range to push us right back up. That is a wick, and it's a positive wick, especially if there's any way we could finish above 1 here today, and then maybe, perhaps, that would set us up for the run that we're looking for in MATIC to get back to the highs of last year. All right, so that is a quick run through on MATIC and what we are looking for. I've got a couple of other things we want to talk about today. Of course, we always go back to Bitcoin because Bitcoin pulls these coins up. So it's very important to understand what's going on in Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance, if you look at my mouse indicator down here, is at roughly 53%. So of all the value of crypto out there in the entire world, 53% of it is made up of Bitcoin. So it makes sense that Bitcoin will heavily influence crypto and MATIC itself. So let's talk. After the fantastic run-up we have seen since January 23rd, a great run-up, we have definitely reached a level of resistance that Bitcoin is wrestling with, right around 52,000. It's been at that level for about a week. The bad news is it's been boring and it has been choppy. And since we've run out of fuel for Bitcoin moving up, the altcoins have kind of been slipping down as a whole. The good news is when it gets choppy like this, it's usually setting up for another round of volatility. I've been asking and listening and trying to figure out which way is Bitcoin going to go. Are we going to break above the 52,000 and carry higher? Or are we at risk for breaking below 50,000 and carrying lower? We've got bad news and good news. Bad news is we don't know. Good news is I'm not an idiot because I've been trying to figure out if other people knew, and they're saying they don't know either. There's really no good indication, but we're just going to have to wait and see which way Bitcoin moves because, look, crypto is unpredictable. Technically, from a technical standpoint, and historically, from a historical standpoint, we would expect Bitcoin to fall right here, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One is you can see the RSI indicator, a very favorite and common indicator across financial instruments, is in overbought territory. That does mean that we have run up to a point where generally we get a sell-off, and the RSI will move on down as price moves on down. That's one reason. Another reason is we have the halving coming up in April, somewhere around April 20th. Where's that bar? Let me show you that bar. Oh, it's right here in front of my face. This rectangle right here denotes April 20th. And generally before the halving season, we will, about 4 to 6 weeks before, see a pretty decent retrace in Bitcoin. This is looking back at the previous halving cycles of Bitcoin. We would see a 10 to 20 to 30% drop. A 20% drop would drop us into this 43,000 area where we would consolidate, move through the halving, and then a few weeks to a few months after the halving, we take off on the official bull run. That is generally how the pre-halving market or Bitcoin price behaves. So that's a number 2 reason why Bitcoin can move down. And a number 3 reason is this: it just seems weak, not weak from an overall perspective, but weak from where we are in the past week, that we are consistently coming down and testing this gray level of 50,600. And if that were to give way, it kind of opens the door for the next level below. We've touched it once, twice, and we have touched it already once today. And we're seemingly got more downward pressure than upward pressure. But you guys know, I could wake up tomorrow morning and find Bitcoin at 54, 55,000, and everyone, the RSI, the pre-halving historic movements, this channel, this triangle right here, could all be done away with. These are only things we can watch to try to put probabilities in our favor. None of them are 100%. Sometimes they're not even 60 and 70%, right? So you just got to do the best you can and go with the information you have. You know that at any point, Bitcoin can take off and go up 4,000 or 5,000 points in a matter of 2 or 3 days. So that's kind of the way Bitcoin is going, but it doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. One more piece of information I want to share with you. The path to alt season, okay? Secretsofcrypto.com. They are someone I actually just found on Twitter. I found them through another follow that I have, but they don't post often, and this one is actually kind of old, but they talk about the path to alt season when generally all the altcoins tend to go parabolic and increase by multiples of times. We are not in that phase now. They kind of break it down in phases. I'm not going to go through every bit of this, but I'm pointing you in this direction in case you want to go and do more research. It might be handy. Phase 1, Bitcoin, flow of money moves into Bitcoin, causing price surges. That is very clearly where we are right now. Phase 2, Ethereum. Ethereum outperforms Bitcoin, and we hear talks of flipping. We don't hear talks of flipping anymore. I'm not sure what they mean by flipping, if that's just a bad spelling or whatever. I'm not quite sure what that means right there. But the point is, generally, Bitcoin will level off and Ethereum takes off. So in the past, people were like, is Ethereum going to pass Bitcoin and all that? And then there's not much conversation of that anymore, but I see their point. This used to be 1A and 1B, but now Bitcoin is clearly the top dog. Phase 3, large caps. That is your bigger cap coins, top 15, top 25, which would be MATIC, by the way. Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin, and large caps are going parabolic. That's your next phase. And then alt season, large caps have gone full vertical. Mid caps and the smaller cap coins are starting to pump. They go about the same time. Large caps have been outperforming Bitcoin and Ethereum, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We're not in phase 4. We're not in phase 3. We're not in phase 2. Right now, we're clearly in phase 1, which is the setup for the path to alt season. But just wanted to give you an idea of when alt season might come and what phases we have to go through to get there. Until then, until we get to quote unquote the alt season, MATIC and other coins are really pretty much dependent on Bitcoin for their movement. Again, some will randomly pop off, but as a collective, altcoins are going to follow Bitcoin right now. They're going to be pulled up by Bitcoin. If Bitcoin stalls or falls, the altcoins are going to do the same. They tend to stall and fall quicker than Bitcoin does. And so it's something to watch for. Still looks good. Long-term MATIC is fine. Short-term, very interesting. Might go ahead and run up, but do be aware over the next few weeks to months, Bitcoin's going to move probably fairly strongly in one direction, and down is a direction it could move. If that happens, we will give up this level in MATIC and might continue on down to the next level. That's a different conversation for a different day. Y'all be good. Take care out there and be careful. I'll catch up with you next time.